to the collar. I'll start with going over the Coyote Pup Distress. For most people, it's pretty simple to do. I'm going to form my mouth as if I were going to, almost like if I were going to whistle, and just think of what a hurt dog sounds like. And you're going to apply a fair amount of tongue pressure and shh, 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 almost if you were trying to whistle hard, or like somebody that can't whistle but that's trying that shh, shh, shh. And it sounds like this. I'll give you a couple of different versions of Coyote Pup Distress. One that's just your typical, not too aggressive, and then I'll show you another thing that you can do with the pup screamer that other calls won't do, and that's put that little bit of rasp in there that you'll hear in a little coyote pup. You know, if you've ever grabbed a small puppy, small dog by the nape of the neck or something like that, and heard them, you know, that before they hit those high notes, you can do that with this call, and it is super effective on coyotes year round. But I'll run that for you right quick, and then we'll get into the fox distress and follow that up with the coon. Position of the call on this. Use everything, take everything that I'm saying instructional wise with this loosely. You may tweak or need to tweak some of the things I tell you about any of these callings to suit your style of calling. Everybody blows a call a little bit different because everybody's mouth is made a little different. People ask me all the time, where's the call in your mouth? Is it tilted up? Where's your tongue? Are you using the tip of the tongue, the middle of the tongue, the back of your tongue? How far forward or back is it in your mouth? Starting out learning to blow a call, just put it where it's comfortable. Whatever tongue position, whatever mouth position is comfortable, that's where you want to start. As you learn, because you can do the sounds from any position, so you want to start with comfort first. Once you get that sound, then you can tweak it. You can move it forward in your mouth, move it back in your mouth, and see if you get a better version of the sound that you're getting from the comfort position. When we talk about the coon distress, I'll go ahead and mention it just so I don't forget it. Any call that you're trying to get vibrations from, you're typically getting the vibrations from your throat, growling with your throat. It's easier to get that. You have to get those growls from your throat to come across the reeds of that call. It's easier to do that with the call farther in the back of your mouth, getting it closer to the source of the sound. But start out with comfort and then tweak that, because anytime you start trying to put a call a little farther back, gag reflexes and stuff like that are going to be more apt to happen. A lot of people have that initially with these calls. It's something you'll get over. When you first start using them, just pop the call in your mouth. Get used to the call being in your mouth. Carry that call in your mouth until it becomes a part of your mouth and you don't even think anything about it being in there. It becomes to where it's almost like talking. For me, the call is a part of my mouth, and it's no different than me talking. It's that comfortable. But back to the Coyote Pup, like I said, you're going to form your mouth in that almost like if you were trying to whistle with some tongue pressure. That's a milder form. That's typically when I'm running the coyote stand. I'll usually start out my pup distress something along those lines, just a higher pitched note. Towards the end, if I hadn't called something up, or if I've got a coyote hung up or something like that I'm trying to work, I may get a little more aggressive with it. It sounds like this. This is where you can put that rasp in it. To do that, I'm dropping my tongue pressure a little bit, and I'm typically working my jaw some, almost like if you were yelping for a turkey. You drop that jaw to get that rasp. Just remember that everything I say is not exactly how you have to do it. Just tweak it to fit your blowing style to give you the best version of any of those sounds. This will be the more aggressive form of pup distress. Sounds like this. Moving right on to the gray fox. Something I tell everybody on animals. usually their own voice is something that a lot of people don't know. They'll use rabbit or something targeting particular animals. A lot of times their own voice is what they're most vulnerable to. Gray fox is probably the best example of that I know of. Nothing works better on him than his own voice. Coon is another great example of that. To do gray fox distress, I'm forming my mouth as if I were going to say the name Ralph. And then I just lengthen that out and shorten it depending on whether I'm wanting to bark or whether I'm wanting to do distress. Like if I'm barking, I'm going to have real crisp, sharp, hard Ralph, Ralph. And anybody that knows about gray fox knows they've got a real coarse voice. So kind of put some of that inflection in your calling and turn it almost into a growl when you get ready to that Ralph, Ralph, Ralph. And just form your mouth as if you were going to say the name Ralph and put that across the reeds of the call. To do the distress part, lengthen it out. Ralph, Ralph, Ralph. Sounds like this. That's gray fox. As far as calling gray fox, I'll touch on it just a little bit. It's about like coon calling. I just set up in areas that we know they're gray fox. A lot of times we do it on the tail end of our coyote stands. 5 to 7 or 8 minutes, 10 tops is all you need to do on a gray fox. If he's not there, get up and move somewhere else. Don't sit there 20 or 30 minutes trying to call up a gray fox. Going right on into the coon calling, which is what we get the most questions on. This is probably the most difficult sound to do on a diaphragm that I know of, and a lot of people are just starting out, so it can be frustrating. You're going to have to be patient learning to do this call. A lot of those sounds like gray fox that we just talked about or turkey yelping, you can do one thing to get that sound. With coon calling, you need to do 3 things at one time to get that sound. The first part of it is I form my mouth as if I were going to say re, like R-E-E. And that's going to give you your high-pitched tone that you need. That's the basic part of that sound, is that high-pitched note. To practice it, I would break the call apart if you're learning to do it and start out with the re, then add to the other. But the re part of it, just form your mouth as if you were going to say re and practice doing that with the call. Put it in your mouth, wherever's comfortable to start with, you can tweak it later. Going re, and I'm getting that high-pitched note with tongue pressure. The second part of that call is throat growls. You'll combine that with the re to practice the throat growls, and all it is just, if you hold your mouth open slightly, just doing it on the call. That's where your vibration or your coon chatter comes from. You're going to want to combine those 2 things, the growls with the high pitch. When you put them together, it sounds like this. Then you start changing that rhythm up. You heard me to begin with, I just kind of, then I changed the rhythm up to turn that into more of a coon distress. The third thing that you want to do when you're doing coon distress that gives you the realism of the call is done with your natural voice or your nasal cavity. I do it with pretty much my nasal cavity. It's when I'm sucking back in to take a breath. And remember, I said you want to do this continuous. This third part, you do it at varying times. You don't have to do it the whole time. But anybody's heard a coon, you know, they'll that growling of a coon. I do that part of it with my own, I'm making that sound. It's my natural voice or my nasal cavity. You're going to combine it with the sounds that the diaphragm's making, your re and your throat growls. You put it all together, and that's how you get coon distress. That's why it's it's difficult and frustrating, and one of the harder sounds to do because you're having to do so many things at one time. When you combine it all together, this is what you get with coon distress. You see I'm staying continuous with that call. When I'm taking my breath, that's when I'm doing my growling. You don't have to stay continuous with that, but that's where the realism comes in, and that's when you take a breath and you're able to keep that call pretty much continuous. And that's pretty much all it is to it on the different sounds and using the diaphragms. Be patient, and remember, everything I told you is just loose instructions to get you headed in the right direction. Tweak that to make your calling. You don't have to use re or any of the other sounds that I'm telling you about. Just use that as a starting point and change that if you need to produce a better sound. I hope that helps you out. I hope I covered all your questions. And if I didn't, you can call me at any time. I'll help you out best I can over the phone. I've already talked to a lot of you, and I really appreciate the business, appreciate everybody that's ordered from us, and enjoy talking to every one of you. Hope I've been able to help you out some kind of way. But if you need to call me, if you have a question, I didn't cover it, my number is 870-820-0382. You can call me anytime. If I don't answer, I might be hunting. Leave me a message. I promise you I'll call you back and help you out.